My name is TyrionLanstr. For today, I thought I'd do a little treat for you guys. So, for our Siege of Winterfell match right now, Tough has a pretty easy opponent. They only have one member in their alliance. I don't think they even went in, which is a little bit unfortunate considering we're right now ranked 4th in alliance in the Siege of Winterfell, excuse me. So it's a little bit dull. But I figured it was a good opportunity for me to kind of talk through this event a little bit. We are on the top side. Our opponents are on the bottom side. As you can see, it just opened up. And so we've already started to progress towards our first couple of targets. That would be, if I scroll up here, we should get to, where is it? Find it for me. Okay, so it should be there. Yeah, there's the other outpost. I'm not sure why it's not there, but it should be there. Okay, but so as you can see, the other side doesn't even have anyone in, so it's going to be a bit of a dull match. So let's pretend this was a real match, and I've got my castle here, I've got all my lords set up and everything. What would I do to create my army? So here's what I'm going to do. Go to create, click create an army. And as I mentioned in my last video, the 3 commanders you choose, your first commander here, then your deputy commander 1, deputy commander 2, it really matters what their skill is going to be. So let's click on this. So let's choose our commander. So this one, I'm going to make my main, kind of cavalry contingent. I've got my Enzo finally gold now. As you can see, he's really strong. He's giving me 200%, sorry, not 200,000, 200% of attack, health, and defense in cavalry. He also has this great skill. It deals 960% of the troops' attack. It also does this extra skill damage, and it reduces enemy infantry defense and health by 225%. So Enzo's great. I'm going to make him my top commander. Now for my other 2, I have some interesting choices between. So I really like Lyanna. She is a pretty cheap rage cost, just 500, and she gives me, cavalry attack, health, and defense of 150%. I also like the tranquility. It kind of removes any debuffs that I could have. I'm also a big fan of Russell. Let me try to find him. Okay, here he is, Russell. Now, he does not have the army size buff. He's not awakened. But what I really like about Russell is his rage cost is just 400. He also has an ability where he deals 600% of damage, and he reduces my enemy's rage by 200, as well as their total attack and defense by 100%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put Russell second. Again, my reasoning for that is I want to get his ability off as well as Lyanna's. And I actually want Lyanna's last because I want her to be able to clean off any possible debuffs that I might have received. So I want to have Russell first, then Lyanna hit. So it's 400 and then 500. So I'll get both of those off together. I'm going to get a big attack. I'm also going to get this tranquility. Now, I gotta say the other piece of this is though that by doing Lyanna first, I get the attack damage buff of 45% before I use Russell's kind of skill damage attack that's based on the attack. So this is tough. You know what? Screw it. Let's do Lyanna first, and then we'll do Russell, because I think it's better to have that little extra attack before we use his ability. So there we go. That's what I'm pretty happy with that setup. So I'm going to confirm that. Now for my troops, I'm going to make this my full T4 cav march. I just want to note one thing. So right now, if I do just cavalry, my march speed is 2,255. Let's say for a second I didn't do a full T4 cav. I wanted to split it. T4 and some T3s. You'll notice that my marching speed is actually higher now, and that's because T3 cavalry are faster than Tier 4 cavalry, and the more of them that you have, the faster your marching speed will be. You can also notice here that this shows your range. My range is only people that are right next to me. If I added some spearmen, it doesn't change that because it's still going to be based on my kind of lowest range troop, but you'll notice my marching speed went way down. If I did go full spears, you'll notice my marching speed is way lower, but I do have this extended range. And then if I went bowman, I get the furthest range. I get as much range as possible, and I get a little bit in between on the marching speed. So again, this one's going to be full T4 cav, but I just wanted to show that as far as what's going on with all this different stuff. Okay, march. So that's my first march. Now, ordinarily, I would probably save my slots, and I'll just show you really quickly the way I would do that. So if I chose, Garel, Seg, and Rob, great, I'm happy with this. Okay, cool. I would press this button to save it, and I would put it under whatever slot I wanted, maybe my first slot. Great. And then I could hit march, and then it would go. But I actually don't really want this march, so I'm gonna edit it first. So let's take a look at what we've got here. So let's clear these off. All right, so for my second march, this one is also going to be cavalry based, but this one I'm going to have as more of a kind of a healer group, and I'm not expecting it to do as much actual damage. It's not going to have my lord in it. So as such, I think that Rob is much more interesting for this one, but the problem is that his ability is really expensive, so I'm hesitant to jump to him just right off the bat. Annie is actually someone I really like for this. Now, the reason why I like Annie is because what she does is she creates an AoE region that lasts for 4 seconds that will heal friendly soldiers, and it will restore 50 rage, and it will remove all debuffs. So Annie is great to have helping out my other regiments and my allies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Annie first. Now, again, it is a 1,000 rage cost, so it's very expensive. But and I get that she has the spearman health, so ideally she'd be better with spearman, but I'm actually going to throw her on this. She gives total attack and defense, and for that reason I actually do want her in this one. Now, who else is going to provide some utility like that? Well, if I go down to Jana, I'll notice that she does skill damage. She also has the chance to have the target fall into fear of war, making them unable to use normal attacks or a counter. This also is only a 600 rage cost. Now, it only gives 150% cavalry defense as the passive bonus, but I do really like this ability that Jana has. The fear of war is really strong, and that's just really helpful if I'm attacking with Jana, and Jana uses her ability, and it means that my opponent can't actually attack or counter. Well, that's going to be a big damage buff for me. So I actually like Jana here too. Now, my last one, I want another healer. And as you look through, you'll notice that some of them, there's some other commanders that heal, like Egbert. Egbert will give a healing receive, increases the healing receive, which is good. There's also, of course, let me find her. So Simon is going to be a healer, heals some of your troops and your nearby friendly troops. It's a pretty expensive one, but definitely not bad. He gives 15% total attack, not bad, not great, but Sansa is another one that gives a big heal. Heals my troops' wounded soldiers in the next 7 seconds, grants your troops an effect, which increases the defense by 125%. What I want to notice here, though, is this is just healing my troops wounded, not an area of effect. So as such, it's not going to help me in that way. So I'm just going to stick with that. For my last commander, for this one, I'll probably, so I want to do one that's kind of cheap that I can rotate to Annie quickly. So I think I'm trying to just find a weak one that I can throw on there. Let's see what we've got. Rob is too expensive, and again, I get that Rob would be really good from a stats perspective, but this is not a regiment that I care about the stats. Jamie. No. So that one's not terrible, but I don't love throwing Jamie on there. That'll be my last one. So I think this one's really interesting for me, O'Bean. His rage cost is only 300, and on top of that, he increases the rage of my troops by 150. So I'm going to be able to rotate around really quickly with him. So I'm going to go ahead and throw O'Bean on there, even though, again, not that O'Bean does anything helpful for me at all, but just simply because I want to get around to Annie and Jana quicker, I'm going to have him throw a really weak one on there. So again, what's going to happen is I'll use Annie's ability, then I'll get back up to 1,000, use Janna's, and I'll use Obene's on that. But then I'll have, a good bit left to get me closer to using Annie's again. So I'm going to stick with that. Again, this is just a speed group. It's not meant to actually be dealing much damage. So I'm going to just throw all my tier 3 cavalry. You'll notice that it's much faster. They're just out there to be moving around. So I'll go ahead and save this one. There we go. It's save slot 2. I'm going to march. And again, this is not a troop that I want to be dealing my main damage. I'm going to be microing a lot with this one, moving it around, so I'm making sure that it's not actually the one that's like taking hits or even really doing a lot of the hitting. I'd rather have my primary one doing most of that. Now for my last one, I'm going to have just an alternate troop formation, and I'm going to specifically do this one both spears and bowmen because they have so much better range. If I had more T4 bowmen, I'd probably make this a pure bow group, but because I don't, I'm going to play around with it a little bit. So I think Patello has one of my favorite abilities, and I'll explain why. So Patello's rage cost is just 300, but look at this. He deals 960% of the troops' attack, and he heals my troops' wounded soldiers. So he's great. He's doing a ton of really helpful stuff for us. His passive stats are not great, just because I only have him green, but this is awesome. I think that's a great ability. I'm actually going to put him first, just because it's so good. So I think that Soren's is also pretty good, 880% of the troop attack, but I get no passives from him, and this is one where I do want some helpful stats. So the second one I'm going to throw on here is going to be Egbert. Let me find him. Egbert. Here we go, Egbert. So Egbert, look at this, hold on. Egbert is giving, it doesn't show right there, the Dominator's demands, I think it's, yeah, there we go. Total defense increased by 75%. Bowman attack increased by 250%. He's giving me a huge bow attack buff. Also, if you look at his ability, what he's going to do is he's going to increase the healing received by 80%. That lasts for 4 seconds. And he's also going to give me reduced counterattack damage. Now, what I think is interesting about this is that it costs me 700 rage to use Egbert, and it's only 300 to use Patello. So, if you're thinking what I'm thinking, I want to make sure that I'm getting Egbert's ability right before I use Patello's heal. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm actually going to swap this. I'm going to do Egbert first, and then I'm going to do Patello. Now, for my last one, I'm kind of lax in the stats department. I think if I had more pure... if I had more pure bows, then I would maybe consider doing more just bowmen. But the thing I struggle with here is just that I'm so lacking in spirit attack and defense and everything else. I do feel the need to get a little bit of those stats. Definitely Miranda's kind of interesting. Sheila's got a nice ability, and it gives me 150. 100%, if I had more bowmen, I would go with Sheila here. But actually, or Theon. Theon's great. I mean, Theon, it's a 100% chance to fall into Fear of War. Yeah, if I had Theon higher and I had more bowmen, I would definitely use it. I'm leaning towards Garel. He buffs, the thing is that he buffs attack of spearmen and bowmen, and he buffs all my troops' health by 250. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Garel, just because it is kind of really synergizing with my spears and my bowmen. But I do want to acknowledge that I'd probably change it up a little bit if I had more bows. But this one's nice. I'm going to use Egbert and Patello, and then I'll use Garel on his own, and then we'll reset back to the top. So we'll confirm this. This one, I already have it set. I want all of my bows I can get, and then as many spears as whatever I have left. By the way, this is showing my skills order, and there's even a little thing that's explaining this. It's going to go Dance of Crows, then the Bloodthirsty Tiger, then Invasion of Consciousness, then back to the start. So it's Egbert, Patello, Garel, back to the start. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and march with this one. Again, I would have saved it, but there you go. I've got my 3 marches. So from here, I'm going to just go ahead and move to the middle of the map just to show. So I'm going to go ahead and have them march over here. And the reason why I'm going to have them march over here is I want to show you guys what the whole difference in the marching speed really means. So if you look at this, of my 3 troops, remember I said I have my fast one. Those are just the T3 cavalry, and they're a full 6 seconds faster. You're going to see them start to pull away, and this is how you can notice that those troops are never going to catch up. Realistically, the cavalry that I've got that are slower, they're just never going to catch these guys. So it's a very frustrating thing to deal with. Also, thing to notice: look at these circles that I have. Those circles represent their range for which they can attack. You'll notice these two are very small. This one's much bigger because I've got those spears and bowmen in there. Now, if I had all bowmen, it would be even bigger, but because I have those spears in there, it does shorten my range just a little bit. But okay, they're off, they're marching. As you can see, we are going to get a max score in this round because we do not have any opponents, which is a little bit sad, but it is what it is. So I just wanted to kind of hopefully show you guys that, explain the different formations that I'm using for this match, and kind of walk that through with you guys. I hope this was helpful. I know this video is a little bit on the longer side, but I hope you learned a thing or two. And it was kind of a great opportunity for me to get to do this. I usually am shot calling for us, but because we're not playing a real alliance, thought I'd take a second to go through this with you guys. So I hope this helped everyone, and until next time, my name is TyrionLanstr. I'll see you then.